If everybody could please take your seats. It's 7:50, and I'd like to call the committee of the whole meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Petchke. Here. Petrilla.
Here.
Wirball.
Here.
Essner.
Here.
Weber.
Here.
Bokaitis.
Here.
Folks.
Here.
Bungard.
Here.
Munns.
Here.
Spellman.
Here.
All right, wonderful. We have a quorum. I just wanted to remind everybody that at this committee meeting, we have two public speaking portions. The first portion would be to talk about things that are on the agenda tonight, and at the end of the meeting, people have a chance to make a comment about anything as it relates to the city. So with that, if anybody does have any comments related to items that are on the agenda, please come forward now. Just state your name. I know that we heard you talk before.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that what we brought to you pertains particularly to this meeting, okay?
Absolutely, we understand.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Anybody online? Okay. So with that, I'm looking for a motion and a second to approve the items on the consent agenda.
Munns move.
I've got a motion by Munns.
Second.
Seconded by Spellman. Roll call, please.
Petchke.
Yes.
Petrilla.
Yes.
Wirball.
Yes.
Essner.
Yes.
Bokaitis.
Yes.
Folks.
Yes.
Bungard.
Yes.
Munns.
Yes.
Spellman.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. Next up, we have a presentation from Larry Gunderson in regards to item 5A. Go ahead, Director Gunderson, you have the floor.
All right, thank you very much, Chairperson Weber. So the recommendation for the committee tonight is for purchase of one-year software maintenance for our North Star utility billing system. There are three components to this recommendation. One is for software support and maintenance. The second is for cloud hosting services. North Star is hosted in North Star's cloud. And finally, the last component is a software subscription for our Silverblaze utility billing payment system, which is our online payment tool. And I'll answer any questions that you may have.
Does anybody have any questions in regards to this? No?
Move for approval.
So I have a motion by Warball, seconded by Petrilla. Roll call, please.
Petchke.
Yes.
Petrilla.
Yes.
Wirball.
Yes.
Essner.
Yes.
Bokaitis.
Yes.
Folks.
Yes.
Bungard.
Yes.
Munns.
Yes.
Spellman.
Yes.
Okay, great. That motion carries. Thank you very much, Director Gunderson. Next up, we have a presentation from Deputy Chief Cavallo. This is for item 6A, to possibly approve an ordinance amending Chapter 15-101, Administration Enforcement Fees and Penalties of the St. Charles Municipal Code. Go ahead, Deputy Chief Cavallo.
Thank you very much for having us tonight. I brought my lead inspector, Joe DeVilla. He's a lieutenant within the Fire Prevention Bureau. So tonight we're here to talk about the fire prevention provides a variety of life safety services, including plan reviews, fire protection system inspections, acceptance of testing, annual testing of the fire alarm and fire sprinkler systems, underground fire service inspections, and other code requirement inspections. Many of the fees associated with these services have not been updated since 2008. They are no longer consistent with the actual cost of providing these services or with fees charged by comparable municipalities. The proposed resolution updates the Fire Prevention Bureau fee schedule to reflect current market rates, recover service delivery costs, and align with the City of St. Charles with comparable communities while continuing to provide high-quality fire and life safety services. I'm available for any kind of questions right now.
Okay, so this is just basically updating everything, put us in line with all different, surrounding communities.
That's correct, sir. Yeah.
Any questions? Go ahead, Mr. Wirball.
I support this. Obviously, it's been a long time since you've updated it. My one question is on the waiver of fees. It says that someone could ask for a waiver from City Council for a 1- and 2-family residential dwelling unit, additions, alterations by a nonprofit organization, or for an owner, occupancy, and or family member with special needs. So how are they going to know that they can ask for a waiver if they need it, especially people that are financially in need of it? Are you going to attach that waiver, that option to the application so they're aware of it? Okay. Is that?
Currently do that.
I mean, I would like to see that so they're aware of it.
Yes.
For transparency.
That would be something for the building department. We only cover commercial. That would be for.
Well, then my question's for Heather McGuire. Can we attach that to the fee structure so we're fully transparent with the option?
We can look into making that available, yes.
Okay. Move for approval.
Thank you.
So I have a motion by Warball, seconded by Petrilla. Roll call, please.
Petchke.
Yes.
Petrilla.
Yes.
Wirball.
Yes.
Essner.
Yes.
Bokaitis.
Yes.
Folks.
Yes.
Weingart.
Yes.
Munns.
Yes.
Spellman.
Yes.
Great, that motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Next up, we have item 6B. I believe Chief Moffey is going to make this presentation in regards to ordinance authorizing the disposal of personal property owned by the city of St. Charles. Go ahead, Chief Moffey, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good evening to all of you. I'm here tonight to look for approval for the ordinance to dispose of surplus equipment. Essentially, every 10 years, the turnout gear that the firefighters use, the coat, the pants, the boots, all need to be replaced per NFPA 1851. We have a surplus of those items. We typically hold on to them to give to either the Fox Valley Career Center or some of the other cadet programs that they have in the area. We just need to make sure that none of those are actually used for active firefighting. The Maple Park and Countryside Fire Protection District, they have a cadet program. They reached out to our department and said, hey, do you happen to have any excess gear? And so we've set up to be able to utilize this the same way that we have with Fox Valley Career Center. We have them sign all the proper waivers and make sure that they don't use it in any kind of live fire scenario. They also remove all of the patches associated with St. Charles. So looking for approval just to be able to surplus that to donate to the Maple Park Cadet Program.
Okay, great, thank you. Any questions regarding this?
Munns moves for
I have
approval.
a motion by Munns. Seconded by Dave Peschke. Roll call, please.
Peschke.
Yes.
Petrilla.
Yes.
Wirbal.
Yes.
Gessner.
Yes.
Kulkaitis.
Yes.
Folks.
Yes.
Weingart.
Yes.
Munns.
Yes.
Spellman.
Yes.
Thank you.
That motion carries. Thank you very much, Chief Moffey. Next up, we have item 7A. Chief Likens is going to make a presentation regarding the amplification and use of portion of First Street Plaza for the 2026 Jazz Weekend.
Good evening. It's coming to be jazz time again.
Yeah.
So, in conjunction, the St. Charles Business Alliance is requesting, they've submitted a request for amplification and partial use of the First Street Plaza for Jazz Weekend, which will take place September 10th through the 13th. 2 live music performances are scheduled to take place on the plaza and various other jazz bands around town. Again, the Alliance did put in for a amplification permit, and we're seeking recommendation for approval for the usage and the permit.
Thank you, Chief. Is there any questions regarding this? Go ahead, Alderman Munns.
I just wanted to clarify where it has the proposed cost. That's the cost to the Business Alliance?
That's Public Works cost, but we do not bill that back.
You do not bill it back. Okay, so that's the cost to the city.
Correct.
Okay, just wanted to understand that.
Wonderful, wonderful. Any other questions?
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion by Wirbal, a second by Munns. Roll call, please.
Peschke.
Yes.
Petrilla.
Yes.
Wirbal.
Yes.
Gessner.
Yes.
Kulkaitis.
Yes.
Folks.
Yes.
Weingart.
Yes.
Munns.
Yes.
Spellman.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next up, we have item 7B. This is in regards to proven amplification, parking lot, and street closures for the annual Scarecrow Weekend.
Yes, as part of your packet, you should see all the street closures that are listed. This is in line with what was done last year. There are no major changes to this plan for Scarecrow Weekend. Again, the Business Alliance is requesting, we'll start closing down on Thursday. As most of you know, it gets pretty busy that week leading up to, a lot of equipment to move around, a lot of barricades, a lot of signage that they'll be out putting up all week. But by Thursday afternoon, we will have road closures here on Riverside to the south and then over by Lincoln Park. They have applied for their permit again for the amplification and no major changes from last year.
All right, wonderful. Any questions regarding this one?
Move for approval.
No? So I have a motion by Wirbal, seconded by Weingart. Roll call, please.
Peschke.
Yes.
Petrilla.
Yes.
Wirbal.
Yes.
Gessner.
Yes.
Kulkaitis.
Yes.
Folks.
Yes.
Weingart.
Yes.
Munns.
Yes.
Spellman.
Yes.
Great, that motion carries. Next up, we have item 7C. Go ahead, Chief Likens.
These will be for the homecoming parades. The first one occurring on Friday, October 2nd, and the second one would be on Friday, October 16th. Again, this is the same route from 6th to 2nd Avenue. This will be kind of a moving bubble, so it's not a full, complete street closure. This will be more of a bubble closure during the actual parade themselves. And again, no changes from last year's schedule.
All righty. Questions? Go ahead, Alderman Munn.
Same question. Is that $9,000 total per parade? Is that billed back to the school district, or does that just go straight to the city? Is that just the city's cost?
That's the city cost.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions regarding this?
Move for approval.
So I have a motion by Wirbal, second by Vicky Spellman. Roll call, please.
Peschke.
Yes.
Petrilla.
Yes.
Wirbal.
Yes.
Gessner.
Yes.
Kulkaitis.
Yes.
Folks.
Yes.
Weingart.
Yes.
Munns.
Yes.
Spellman.
Yes.
Great, that motion carries. Thank you very much, Chief Likens. Moving right along, we have item 8A. Chris Gottlieb is going to make a presentation to discuss and possibly approve a resolution authorizing a consulting contract with Benish for Phase 1 engineering for the Red Gate Road railings rehabilitation project for $65,000. Go ahead, Chris.
Good evening. I believe everyone here is aware of the unsightly appearance of the Red Gate Road railings. This is an issue that's been going on for a long time, and we've spent the past couple of years looking into it and working on a project to permanently fix it. I want to say from the outset that it is not a safety issue. The railings might be unattractive, but they are not unsafe. We've had engineers inspect them thoroughly, and they are regularly inspected, so that's not a problem. They are, however, as I mentioned, unattractive. And so over the past couple of years, due to the price and complexity of the project, we've been taking our time looking at this project, and we were able to go out to bid for a contract to do the work on them this April. We put out a bid with both a base bid and an alternate bid. The base bid was to remove the existing railings, take them, sandblast them, hot dip galvanize them, and then reinstall them. The alternate bid, which we chose to do based on some discussions with contractors who believed it might be just as cost efficient, was to remove the existing railings and then replace them with custom railings to match what's there right now, brand new railings. So when we opened bids on May 1st, we only had one contractor bid the project. Now, we had budgeted $978,000 for this project. The base bid, that is removing the railings, galvanizing them, reinstalling them, came in at $1.29 million. The alternate bid for removing and replacing with new custom railings came in at $1.99 million. Because the project was so incredibly over budget, we decided that it was not prudent to award at this time. We had conversations with the contractors who bid and contractors who might have bid to ask why the prices were so high, why the bids were so limited. And we got a number of responses, some of which were out of our control, the state of the economy at the time of the bid, for example. Others were things that we could look into and we could correct when the bid took place. There was a very busy time for bidding, so contractors were less aggressive. They had concerns about traffic control, about limited galvanization options, about the project timeline. And so it became clear to us that before we go out and rebid this project, we need to reevaluate our plans. We need to readdress things to make this as attractive to as many contractors as possible so that we can get the best pricing possible. To do that, we're recommending hiring a second separate engineering firm to put fresh eyes on this project, to bring a new group of experts in with new ideas and new understandings, and also to have them take the lessons that we've learned from the conversations that we've had after the original bid and apply those. We're going to look at our timeline for the project. We're going to reevaluate the traffic control, and one key item that we're really going to look into is during the first round, we were very focused on having the exact same railing, which was a custom railing. IDOT has multiple railings approved that look very similar to what we have. They're not the W-shaped guardrail that you see on the side of the highway. They look very similar to what we have, but they're a standard railing, which means that we can get more competitive pricing because they're a standard manufacturer rather than a custom item. And so we want to dig into that. So I'm recommending that we use Benish Engineering to do this evaluation. Benish was hired through a competitive RFP process back in April to continue doing the city's annual bridge inspection program. Benish has been our bridge inspection contractor since 2013, so they have an unprecedented knowledge of our bridges, of their conditions, and of their maintenance history. Benish has a large group of structural engineers who have worked on projects all over the country, so they have a large bench that they can draw from to try and think through this project to come up with more cost-effective methods. We've also tasked them with looking at the scope of the project. Do we want to add some other repair work to it that would make it more attractive to one group of contractors, or do we want to reduce the scope entirely so that it would be attractive to a different group of contractors? And so they're ready to evaluate all of these things. According to their engineers, the phase one engineering would take roughly 3 months. And then phase 2 engineering would take another 3 months. That puts us 6 months from now. That puts us in March, which is a prime time for bidding. It gets in before a lot of the other projects. It's a little bit early, gives contractors time to prepare for projects, and so we would be getting better pricing at that time. This additional design work, of course, was not originally budgeted. We weren't anticipating going this direction. And so I'm recommending that we use the construction engineering funds, or a portion of the construction engineering funds we had originally budgeted for this project, to do this design work, to try and get better prices and have a smoother, more efficient project in the future. And then we will re-budget for next year for the construction and construction engineering of this project so that we can complete this in summer of 2027. So I'm recommending, sorry, I forgot to say, I'm recommending that we award a phase 1 contract to Benish with options to extend to phase 2 and phase 3, which would then be brought forward as well.
All right. Thank you. Questions? Go ahead, Vicki.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. I do have a few questions and maybe a comment. My first question is, could you please clarify what goes into phase 1, 2, and 3? What are those steps?
So phase 1 is an investigative stage where you're looking into potential options. In this case, Benish would be reviewing all of the data that we have to date, talking with contractors, looking at different possible maintenance of traffic options, looking and seeing if there's any other galvanizers that we could use, all of that sort of thing. Phase 2 is creating actual plans that we can use to put out to bid. And then phase 3 is the construction itself. And so phase 3 engineering is the engineers who are on site overseeing the construction project.
Thank you. That makes sense. And then I just wanted to make sure I was understanding what we were proposing. And I guess I'm just trying to figure out the increased cost and time delay and the balance of that, because this has, as you've pointed out, been an issue for a pretty long time. And it sounds like the difference between the lower base bid that we did receive and the original budget was about $300,000, right?
Correct. Okay,
so now we're going to spend $65,000 for a phase 1, which sort of, if you subtract that from the 300, then we're around $240,000. That we're doing all of this for a chance of saving $240,000. But the things that made the bid higher than what we expected, like traffic patterns and limited galvanizing options, are probably still going to be the case, and maybe other bidders will have the same issues and maybe they won't, we don't know. But we're going to delay this by a year or a year and a half to maybe save $240,000, but maybe not. So I'm sort of wondering if it's worth it. It may well be. It may be the right thing to do, and I look forward to my colleagues' opinions. But I'm excited to get those railings fixed, and I'm just wondering, if we know there's a cheaper option that IDOT has, maybe should we just do that? Do we need to go through a 2027 delay to maybe save a couple $100,000?
At this point, I think it's prudent to delay so that we can address a number of the concerns the contractor had related to the MOT, related to the timeline, and at this point also related to school. Part of the problem we were having is we got out to bid later due to the budgeting process and a number of other factors. We got out to bid later, so it was going to be very tight to try and do this while school is not in session. As you know, the Redgate Road Bridge sees a lot of bus traffic, and so the ideal time to do this work is when school is not in session. And so that was our goal, and we had a hard time hitting that on the first 2026 go. And so that's why we wanted to be really aggressive on this and go for 2027. So not only is there a potential for savings, we don't know how much savings we'll actually realize, but I think that we'll end up with a better project and a smoother project if we slow down and take a second look before jumping back into this.
Any other questions? Go ahead, David.
No, thanks. Thanks, Chris. No, and I appreciate there's a lot in the executive summary, so thank you for that. Just a clarification. I appreciate you guys, as the folks at Public Works, asking about. I mean, that's a pretty sizable difference. You said 30% over budget. When I read that too, my first question was why, and you answered that, so I appreciate that. But so regarding the timeline, really quick. So Benish. So they've been doing our bridge repair since 2013, is that correct?
Our bridge inspections, yes.
Inspections, okay. So back in 2024, we hired WBK to investigate the cause. I don't recall, that was a couple of years ago, so I don't recall the exact memo or in the vote. I appreciate that. So in essence, we're getting rid of WBK, hiring Benish. Why couldn't we have hired Benish, I guess, back then? It sounds like they do the same work.
So WBK had a more competitive proposal at the time. They both have good structural engineers on staff, and they came in under budget, and Benish came in above budget.
Okay,
so
appreciate it.
It was a matter of cost for two qualified firms.
No, I appreciate, because I don't remember
It's
the
been some
breakdown.
time.
Yeah, so I appreciate that. Okay, well that makes sense then, because I just was wondering. I mean, why did we do that? But if they were the lowest bidder, then so be it. And then really quick, are they? Will we be working with WBK in any phase of this at all, or are they
on this project? They would not be working on this project anymore.
Okay.
But we obviously are still working with them on many different projects throughout the city.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the clarification.
Go ahead, Alderman Wirball.
Thanks for your presentation. I actually asked for this to be removed from the consent agenda, and you answered all my questions with your presentation. So it sounds like you're confident with this new firm that they're perhaps going to come in with a much lower bid and better options. So I'm all for it. So I'll make a motion to approve.
1 second. Go ahead, Alderman Munn, you had another question?
Thank you. I just have I guess it's more of a comment. So just to go back to the beginning, my understanding is the entire reason behind all of this is because originally when these railings were put in, the coating wasn't done properly. It was intended to be a 75-year coating, and it lasted less than 12 years or something like that. And so now we want to make sure that we're going and doing this correctly, correct?
Correct. So we don't know exactly what went wrong with the powder coating that's on there, but we're not proposing a powder coating. We're proposing a hot dip galvanization, which will not have these same issues.
And what kind of time will that, what kind of endurance will that have?
I believe that the original report said 50 to 75 years, no maintenance.
Okay.
And
so if we go and we do this correctly and we have Benish come in and give us the right consultation and set us on the right path, we won't be back here in 15 years trying to, again, redo these railings.
That is correct, and none of us want to talk about this again after it's done.
Fantastic.
Chair Weber, if I could just clarify too, that was an item that was value engineered out. It wasn't that the original coating failed. It was a discretionary decision made by that council to reduce how that project was
Reducing
completed.
the cost of that, of the railing. Okay, that was my understanding. I'm sorry that I didn't explain that correctly. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Alderman Sokata.
Thank you. One question I have, with all these bids and everything, does this include anything about removing the rust from the concrete?
Yes, we did ask them to look into that.
So I want to make sure that's part of it too, because it looks as bad as the railings.
Yes, no, that was something we definitely asked them to take a look at, and we asked for a couple of other items to look at as well, so, but definitely that.
Thank you.
So, sorry, one.
Go ahead, Alderman Petrillo.
One more quick. So they would be removing the railings, obviously. You're not going to dip them, obviously, and galvanize on the bridge.
No.
Okay.
They would be removed, and whatever work is done, whether it's replacement, those would be manufactured off-site, and if you're cleaning them, dipping them, galvanizing, they'll go to first a sandblaster that will clean them, and then different galvanizing facility, and then they'll be brought back.
Okay. So obviously they put temporary ones there. So I appreciate it. I was just envisioning the river getting a bunch of stuff in it.
No, and that's why we're not talking about sandblasting them on site and then painting them on site. Is just the protection over the river would actually make that cost even more than removing them and doing the work elsewhere.
Got it. Okay.
Go ahead, David Plesky.
Do you anticipate construction oversight from Benish Engineering as well?
I would recommend it, yes. We've used them in the past for construction oversight, and they're very qualified. They did it for the Prairie Street Bridge repairs just 2 years ago.
So I have a motion from Wirball, and I have a second from Munn. Roll call, please.
Petchke?
Yes.
Petrilla?
Yes.
Wirball?
Yes.
Gessner?
Yes.
Fokitis?
Yes.
Folks?
Yes.
Bungard?
Yes.
Munns?
Yes.
Spelman?
Yes.
Great. That motion carries. Thank you very much, Mr. Gottlieb. Next up, we have item 9A. We have a presentation from Russell Colby, and then we'll get into conversation. This is regarding the ordinance granting approval of a special use for planned unit development and a PUD preliminary plan for the shops at Pheasant Run. Go ahead, Director Colby.
Good evening. I will make some introductory comments and then turn it over to the developer to present. So first, some background on the property. Familiar with the site, it's the 33 acres that remain of the former Pheasant Run Resort. Most of the above-grade structures and all the site improvements like parking lots were removed, but many of the subgrade conditions of the previous resort use remain on the site, and those will need to be addressed in any form of redevelopment of the property. The site has remained zoned BR Regional Business, which was the zoning that applied to the resort. The property is owned by SC Lamon LLC, which is an owner entity of the developer who is Vequity, who will be presenting this evening. They also presented a concept plan back in December of 2025 that was similar to this plan. The application that they've submitted to redevelop the property includes a subdivision into 14 lots and development under the existing BR zoning, but also with a planned unit development on top of that BR zoning to allow some additional uses. A little more detail about the zoning. So BR Regional Business zoning permits a lot of intense commercial uses by right. So that would include most of the uses that are shown on the plans that Vequity is presenting: a bank, retail, restaurant, car wash, gas station, an oil change facility, or a car dealership. Those are permitted uses that someone could come in and get a building permit and construct a building and use that building for one of those uses. However, there's a requirement for any type of drive-through that there's a special use approval process required. And so that requires that plans be submitted showing the layout and the location of the proposed business, and those are reviewed by the city. The scope of review of the special use is limited to assuring that the plan complies with the findings of fact that are included in the zoning ordinance. And those are items that relate to infrastructure surrounding the property and potential surrounding property impacts and things like traffic. So from a legal standpoint, the scope of review for a special use is limited to those items. So what's being requested here is a planned unit development. And as part of a PUD, you're able to vary from certain types of zoning standards that are in our codes. You'll have zoning standards written specifically for the project. So there's a few items that I'll highlight here that are key requests. Those are that drive-throughs be a permitted use within this PUD as opposed to a special use. That a pet care facility be a permitted use. It's otherwise a special use in the BR zoning. Lot 14, which is the furthest east lot, that's the lot that's been identified as potential for a car dealership. The PUD would allow that lot to be used for car dealer vehicle storage and also allow for that lot to be developed similar to the properties to the east, which were developed by McGrath as auto dealerships. There's also two categories of uses that are generally permitted, but they're sort of described as a combination of uses. So a multifunction indoor recreation amusement facility, that would include other ancillary uses in the single-use category, and then a multifunction gas station use, which is permitted with some facilities that would serve trucks. There is a provision, though, in the PUD that there would not be overnight parking of trucks permitted with one of those combination gas station facilities that service trucks. Along with this PUD application, there's the preliminary plan that shows the development of the lots, and there's been plans that have been submitted for 6 of those lots. This application was reviewed by the Plan Commission, and they provided a recommendation. They voted 6-3 to approve with certain conditions. Those conditions included no foundation landscaping deviation for the remaining lots, that a drive-through, if it was proposed on Lot 14, which is the furthest east lot, would require a special use, and that would really be only in the event that it's not developed as a car dealer. The traffic study that was provided for the project would need to be updated if there were more drive-throughs than were contemplated in the traffic study. And the total number indicated there's 8. That includes uses that are identified specifically as drive-throughs, but also some categories of business that are considered drive-throughs under our ordinance, like an auto change facility because of how the stacking is arranged. So there were assumptions about land uses built into that traffic study that if other uses are proposed that deviate from that would require the traffic study to be updated. The commissioners that voted no cited a few different reasons. One of them was focused on building architecture and the buildings not being well connected through the site. Landscape plans are missing some information to evaluate the quality of the landscaping on the development lots. There's also not support for the request for drive-throughs to be permitted without a site-specific special use review. The commission also provided some comments to work with staff on improving the pedestrian connectivity, improving the grading to enhance landscaping, adding trees, and also some modifications to the buildings. The developer has provided a partial resubmittal that includes some of these comments, and those were attached at the beginning of the packet.
In addition to the PUD request, there's also been some discussion about a financial incentive. That incentive is not before the committee this evening, but we provided some information as background for the committee to consider and also provide feedback. The property is located in a TIF district, and it was anticipated there'd be some type of incentive potentially to attract development to the site. Some of the challenges that exist with the property relate to the previous use and the incomplete demolition, which is environmental conditions, some unsuitable soils, and subgrade conditions that require work before the property is developable. The incentive that is being conceptually offered would be reimbursement of extraordinary site costs. That amount has been estimated at $3.3 million. And the developer has stated that land uses, if they are to be restricted through the PUD, that an additional incentive would be necessary in order to make the project viable. And so this is information just provided for the committee's feedback tonight. In context, the proposed cost is approximately $70 million or more for the total development cost, and the TIF increment that's been projected is $11 million. So I've provided you with some context of what these potential incentive requests, how that would align with the TIF increment. Other considerations with an incentive here, it would be a pay-as-you-go structure. The new incremental revenue from the project would be funding the incentive, so it wouldn't be coming from some other source. There'd be an agreement to cap the incentive amount based on certain elements of construction costs, and we'd be verifying those costs before there's reimbursement. There'd also be new sales tax generated from these uses that would be independent of the TIF increment. So with that, we have the developer ready to provide a presentation. And the committee is being asked to review and consider the PUD ordinance on the agenda tonight. And this incentive information is really provided for feedback only because the developer's interest in incentive is obviously related to what type of land use they could have approved under the PUD. So with that, we can turn the presentation over to the developer.
Great. Thank you very much, Russell.
Good evening, council members. My name is Peter Bezos, an attorney from Elgin. I've been before you several times before. Pleasure to be here. I represent the petitioner, S.C. Landman. Here with me this evening is its principal, Chris Elikas, and his partner. Also here with us are our civil engineer, our landscape architect, and our traffic engineer. The staff has spent a great deal of time working with us and on many iterations of what is finally before you tonight, and we want to thank City Administrator Heather McGuire, Russ Colby, and Ellen Johnson for all their hard work. The applicant also implemented some design changes, which Russ just alluded to after the Plan Commission. We heard what they said, and Chris will show you what those specific changes have been. The Plan Commission recommended your approval by a 6-3 margin. Because they testified at the public hearing, we're not going to ask our engineer or other consultants to speak unless you have questions, so they'll just sit and be available for questions if that's okay. I'm just going to make some brief comments, assuming you've all had a chance to review not only the staff package, but the minutes of the Plan Commission. I'd just like to quickly put this petition in legal context. The project involves lots 2 and 3 of St. Charles Resort subdivision, which is 33.7 acres, which was created by the owners from Florida who acquired the defunct Pheasant Run property and later sold it. They sold lot 1 of that project to the McGraths, who built Honda Kia on it, and they sold the back acreage to what is now the Greco Industrial Park. And they didn't sell lots 2 and 3 until Mr. Elikas was able to acquire that property. The property is bounded on the east by Honda Kia, on the west by Couts Road, on the north by Main Street, and on the south by the Greco Industrial Park. This project has sat vacant since at least 2020, and as a result of a fire in May of 2022, the remaining resort buildings were then under court order by petition from the City of St. Charles demolished. The property has remained underutilized and quite unsightly since then. The project is currently zoned BR, Business Regional Business, BR, or Regional Business, I'm sorry, and as are the properties to the north, east, and west. The large area to the south is industrial. As such, the development of this project will not have any adverse impact on residential areas, as there are none in the immediate district, nor on the adjacent business properties. Oftentimes when a PUD is proposed, that format is selected in order to obtain uses which are not otherwise contemplated in the district. I want to emphasize that that is not the case here. This is a PUD overlaid over the BR district, and the petitioner is not asking for any uses that are not enumerated as either permitted or special uses in the district. But in a few cases, we've asked, as Russ alluded to, that a few of these special uses be moved up to permitted use. What is being proposed to you is a redevelopment of 33.7 acres of land together with acquisition costs, will cost this developer in excess of $35 million just to make the project pad ready with 14 lots and ready to develop. When fully built out, the developer estimates a total investment in St. Charles of over $70 million and maybe as much as $100 million. In addition to jobs, sales tax, and incremental real estate taxes, in addition, sales tax, jobs, and incremental real estate taxes will be generated and will continue on as long as the project is there. The requested TIF incentive, as Russ just mentioned, is pay-as-you-go, requested at $3.3 million, which is less than 10% of the land acquisition and infrastructure setup of the project, and less than, less than 10%, and less than 4.7% of the total built-out project cost. This is a very relatively modest request in my experience for developments of this size. Considering that the projected TIF income that the city will receive over the life of the TIF is $11 million. So assuming that you grant $3.3 million, the city will enjoy $7.7 million of retained TIF. I would point out that if this project is not approved and it has to start with square one with another developer, the 23-year TIF clock, which is the life of TIFs unless extended in Springfield, which gets harder and harder to do, the 23-year TIF clock will continue to tick with a correspondingly diminished opportunity for the city to obtain and retain TIF. The slide on the screen in front of you shows the site plan, which involves 14 lots. Of these 14 lots, 6 of them are really part of tonight's presentation and request because those 6 lots have been designed with preliminary plans submitted and reviewed by the staff and the Plan Commission. And if approved by you ultimately at your formal board meeting, those 6 lots will be able to come in for building permit, obtain final PUD, and go vertical, which is the plan. So 6 out of 14 would proceed right away. And again, the entire site of the area of 14 lots will be set up with streets, infrastructure, et cetera, so that all the rest of the lots are pad ready and ready to go and be absorbed. In other words, the subdivision won't be built in phases. The vertical improvements will as the market demands. Lot 14, which is this large area right here, is committed to the McGraths, who are the owners of Honda Kia. They are hoping to bring another dealership here to St. Charles. McGrath Honda is right here next to the access road, Pheasant Run Drive, and McGrath Kia is east of that. Gary and Chris McGrath are both here this evening, should you have any questions for them. So this leaves 7 additional lots that are yet unspoken for. So the 37-acre parcel is already zoned BR, I'm sorry to be redundant, and the developer is not asking for any uses not otherwise contemplated in that district, other than to make a few of the special uses permitted. This developer or anybody else who may take over this property if this project can't proceed could simply subdivide this property, which is a matter of right, just complying with the city's subdivision ordinances and infrastructure, could subdivide it into an appropriate number of lots that comply with your subdivision ordinance, and then could develop under the BR zoning classification as a matter of right. There would be no public hearings and no project-wide amenities, which are part of this PUD. And as to any requested special uses, you'd be correct in saying, well, if there are drive-throughs, those are special uses, they'd have to be submitted for public hearing. That's exactly right. It's important to know, and Russ alluded to this as well, that the law in Illinois, and I'm not here to lecture you as a lawyer, but it's important that you know, if you don't, that the law in Illinois is declared by the Illinois Supreme Court under the case called Living Word, has made it clear that special uses are not discretionary. Instead, by listing a use as a special use, this city council, in essence, made tantamount a legislative finding that each of the special uses is consistent with the health, safety, and welfare in the area and is in harmony with the municipality zoning code. So the court went on to explain that a request for special use must be approved unless there is something unique about the particular site, in this case, this BR site in this BR district, that makes it uniquely unsuitable as opposed to other BR properties elsewhere. So the land here is anything but that. It is, we're asking for, the only special uses essentially are, pardon me 1 minute. We're asking for both drive-throughs and car washes, and a car wash to be approved as a special use. Not only is there nothing about this 33-acre site that makes it uniquely unsuitable, but frankly, it is uniquely suitable as compared to other sites. There is no nearby residential. It's surrounded by BR and industrial zoning. It is a 33-acre tract in size and thus has more than adequate room on site for circulation, stacking capacity, etc. East Main Street is a heavily traveled vehicular corridor, and while sidewalks internal to the project and internal walkways are being provided, it was one of the upgrades, one of the additional upgrades was as to internal walkways. Most of the customers here will come and arrive by car. They'll arrive and leave by car. Your comprehensive plan, in essence, acknowledges this is a corridor. And as for a car wash, let me say that none has yet been identified. But if one were to be built, it would occur on lots 12 and 13, which are right here. And that is adjacent to what we're hoping will be yet another McGrath dealership. There would be no adverse noise impact on any residential or any even nursing home or daycare center. There are none of those planned here and none nearby. As for a truck stop, while it's true that the ordinance contemplates that, the truck stop could only be located, if any place on this site, where the McGrath dealership is planned. And again, the McGraths have committed to this lot. If they can't find a dealership, and if you approve the language that a truck stop could go here, then perhaps if a dealership didn't go here, the truck stop could go here. As you know, Greco is down south, and Greco uses as a main exit in entrance the Pheasant Run Drive, which is stoplighted on Route 64. Truck stops generate a significant amount of motor fuel tax and gaming revenue for communities. So unless you have a particular aversion to that, that is not planned because of the McGrath plans, but only possible. With that, I'd like to ask Chrissy Leakus to stand up and give you a few words, and then we'll be available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. First and foremost, I want to thank you guys for your time again this evening. We're extremely excited about this project. We feel it'll be a major amenity not only to the east side, but also to St. Charles and surrounding communities. Let me start with some different slides here. I'll try to speak in non-attorney lingo, but I think Peter did that very well. But, we recognize the significant history of this former resort site. Our team has designed this project with this in mind while establishing a prominent, welcoming gateway for the east side and the community. The completed master plan vision will bring a high-quality mix of uses to the corridor. As Peter kind of mentioned, out of the 14 lots, we're proceeding with 6 of 14 lots, which would include about 40,000 square feet of multi-tenant retail and higher-end restaurants, which would be about 10 to 12 restaurants on that western component, which I'll touch on a little bit later and get into more detail on those lots. But that would include not only 10 to 12 restaurants and retail, but a coffee shop, a financial institution, an automotive service facility, and a potential car dealership on the eastern 10 acres of the site. This site initially drew our interest, as kind of Peter mentioned, based on its permitted uses in the underlying BR zoning, as well as kind of the excellent vehicle exposure along North Avenue. We firmly believe this plan aligns with the city's overall comprehensive plan and serves as a major community amenity. We have listened closely to prior feedback and have incorporated specific design enhancements directly into the PUD, including many of the Plan Commission's most recent comments last week. This destination is designed as an unanchored shopping center with some unique lifestyle elements incorporated that wouldn't otherwise be provided under the current zoning. We feel this differentiates the overall project within the marketplace. Initially when we talked to staff, based on the favorable underlying zoning, we're really not proposing anything different that's not permitted under the current zoning. We felt it was important to be a partner with the community. We could have proceeded under the current zoning in that same route, but we chose to go the PUD route. There are some efficiencies for us, obviously, but there's more community benefit to going under a PUD, which I'll get into more elaborately here in the presentation. Our approach to this project relies on creative design elements, our cohesive architecture, and public spaces that draw local and regional visitors. This project will provide significant economic benefit and will help attract new businesses across the entire east side of St. Charles. Some of its unique design features include pedestrian connectivity. We added new sidewalks and internal pathways that connect the storefronts directly to the surrounding pedestrian networks, and commercial and residential to the north side of North Avenue, which includes further IDOT improvements. Let me pull up the site plan here. We also incorporated some gathering spaces. The layout features upgraded brick paver, outdoor patios, decorative lighting, and dedicated pedestrian seating areas throughout the project. We integrated the water feature into the overall project and added active seating areas to the south side of the property and connected that by sidewalks throughout the property, which I'll get into a little bit later as well. In addition, these are all things that I mentioned that are only applicable to a PUD and not under the current zoning. We are incorporating a lot of public art elements throughout the project, which include freestanding sculptures and building murals and other unique elements throughout the project. As far as infrastructure and timing, this kind of shows the phase plan that Peter discussed earlier. We're proposing that all infrastructure and horizontal development be completed during phase 1. There's a lot of efficiencies to that for us. And all these uses that we're proposing under the current zoning are very critical to construction commencement. But generally, as Peter mentioned, the overall site's about 33 acres. The blue highlighting is what we're proceeding with today. We would be installing all site infrastructure, including all roads, stormwater, perimeter landscaping, and utilities throughout the whole site. And this kind of shows you that plan. This allows for more timely delivery, maximizes ongoing construction disruptions, and helps us secure attractive tenants for the remaining lots. Just a few clarifications going forward. As Peter mentioned, we are not proceeding today with a truck stop. I know there's been a lot of talk about car wash and truck stop. These are all just very important uses to us. As I said, we're proceeding with 100% of the horizontal infrastructure of this once we're approved, or if we're approved to proceed. We are building a lot of these multi-tenant buildings in these initial 40,000 square feet of buildings to help attract a high-quality customer and user to this site. And that's really what we're asking you for approval on tonight, is to really, help us help you. We're partners together. We really want to see a high-end product here. I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with our company. We do similar projects both locally and nationally, and are very confident that we could deliver a very high-quality project here. But I know there's been talk about a car wash as well. We do not have a commitment from a car wash today. It's just very difficult for us to limit ourselves based on the project costs and the infrastructure required up front. I mean, we're fronting those costs up front to get these horizontal things to attract, the users that we all want and desire for this location. And that's why I know there's been talk in the past about, limitations and so forth on the site. It's a very traffic-oriented site. Although there's lifestyle elements that we intentionally incorporated in this project, I think our visions are aligned. We want to see the same users that you guys see. I mean, we participated, my office represented Lou Malnati's on the Greco project. We initially brought him to this project, and because of real estate fundamentals and the location of this project, they actually chose to go to the Greco project. So they stayed in town, and we represented them for a sit-down restaurant just west of here. With that, I kind of want to touch on some of the more specifics I mentioned about the design of the overall project. We wanted to create a walkable destination, although North Avenue is a very heavily trafficked thoroughfare. That's what the comprehensive plan for the village kind of was built around. We do feel it's important to attract this property to both, vehicular traffic as well as pedestrian traffic. So we incorporated walkways, patio areas, decorative lighting. You can kind of see a common corridor between some of the multi-tenant buildings here shown with seating areas, whether that be fast casual restaurants or ice cream shops, and things to where people can either choose to come and, pick up something quickly in their car or, sit down and enjoy with family some of the amenities of the project. As mentioned before, with the PUD, the community gets things that they wouldn't otherwise obtain through current zoning. Sculptures and murals we're proposing to attract more people to this location and hopefully more restaurants and so forth throughout the site. We're proposing some sculptures and then also some decorative murals on buildings. I think we exceed the landscape code, so under the current zoning we're exceeding what's required. It's a very cohesive landscape plan, so we would be installing all perimeter interior landscaping of the overall project initially. This includes pedestrian sidewalks, brick pavers, bermed areas around the critical access drives, rock outcroppings, in a very uniform sign package, which I'll touch on a later slide. I mentioned multiple times just the pedestrian connectivity of the overall site. That was something that was very important to the Plan Commission. We ended up revising our plan further. We actually had a lot of connections throughout the site, but not only are we connecting through crosswalks to the north side of North Avenue on Couts and Pheasant Run Drive to the east side, there's a lot of internal pedestrian connectivity throughout the project. This southern portion's the 10 or 12 acre stormwater detention bond. We turned that into amenity and included outdoor seating areas. And then basically throughout the whole project, there'll be, whether it's stamped concrete or brick paver, walkways, shown in yellow here kind of gives you an idea how it connects to the southern side of the site, pretty much from, the sidewalks through the site. So whether you're coming from the north side of North Avenue, as we all know, this is pretty unique to the area. It's North Avenue in general. I mean, not just St.Charles. I think east and west isn't very pedestrian friendly. So this is making an effort to help attract, higher end retail and restaurants that wouldn't otherwise consider a site like this. Some of the other decorative elements we've incorporated into this include, the pedestrian seating area I mentioned, shopping center identifier signage throughout the site, and then, paved walkways kind of to the southern portion of the site as well. Another benefit to the PUD, under current zoning, people would come in on a multi-parcel site with whatever, signage they'd want to see in their own specific site. We have a uniform sign package which would dictate the signage for the overall project. So we're proposing essentially 2 freestanding shopping center monument signs with multi-panels for tenants throughout the shopping center, one on Couts and one on Pheasant Run Drive. And then each individual parcel would have a freestanding monument sign for their own use. If there's a multi-tenant parcel or building, which I mentioned on lots 3, 4, and 6, those would have a single sign but with multi-panel. We've touched on kind of the uses we're proposing currently. Of the 14 lots, this is kind of just the roster of the current tenants. Chase Bank being on lot 1. Lot 2 we do not have a use for yet, but we hope to attract a small format grocer, an entertainment concept, a sit-down restaurant, retailer, daycare. Lots 3, 4, and 6 are all multi-tenant buildings. If we do show drive-throughs on those buildings, typically those are more low-use drive-throughs, more similar like mobile pickup order type windows. I can't really disclose many of the tenants that we have interest from today based on confidentiality, but 2 of the uses you'll see kind of shown on some of these renderings, those are more mobile pickup orders. They're not designed to sustain high traffic drive-through business. It's more order from an app, pick it up at the window and go, so there's not much of a stacking requirement. As far as lot 5, Dutch Brothers Coffee is committed to that site. They're a new to market coffee company that this would be one of their first locations in the Chicagoland area. Lots 7 through 10 are not committed yet. Lot 11 is a quick service maintenance facility, Valvoline. Lots 12 and 13, no commitment to date. And then lot 14 is a proposed dealership on the 10 acres. This is kind of redundant, but we've shown you this before. This is a zoomed-in version of that western component of the overall site. So this is more the multi-tenant buildings, Chase Bank, and freestanding coffee. So lots 3, 4, and 6 specifically are multi-tenant retail. So they would have multi-tenant retail and restaurant, as I mentioned before, with 8 to 10 different restaurants throughout. I can't really disclose verbally who the users are, but this gives you kind of some depiction of who may be. And those 3 buildings range in size from anywhere from 6,200 feet to about 9,000 square feet. This is a rendering of the Dutch Brothers Coffee freestanding building. It's a fully masonry building. There's an outdoor pickup window. I don't know how many are familiar with Dutch Brothers Coffee. I think they're out of the West Coast. Lot 1's proposed Chase Bank, so it's about a 4,000 square foot freestanding building. It's their modern prototypical building, fully masonry building. As far as supporting uses, we touched on this earlier, lots 11 and 14. Lot 11 is Valvoline and lot 14 is the proposed dealership. With that, I'd like to invite the McGrath family up to say a few words if they're available.
Thank you. Give you a quick brief rundown. We operate 7 dealerships in the Chicago area, and our largest dealership is in St. Charles. The store sells about 450 cars a month, and they do a nice job. We're building Kia to, it's around 100 units a month. So it's building nicely. And we proposed the deal with Equity in that we could search for another franchise to put next to it to the west. And we've signed a couple NDAs NDA agreements with manufacturers, so we are in discussions with them right now. We haven't got anything solid yet. But that would support another high-volume franchise. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
So you did acquire the property?
We've already, yes, we've given them a sizable deposit, which I think is helping them with their capital, I assume. Chris can talk to that more than I can. But we haven't acquired it totally, but we've got a lot of money down there.
And just for the record, you have no desire to put a truck stop on that lot?
First, I've heard of a truck stop. I got an RV, but I don't know if that would qualify.
No, thank you.
Yeah. And by the way, our Honda store does have a dog park.
Gotcha.
Just want you all to know that.
Does anybody have questions right now for either of the McGraths? No?
This is my son, Chris, by the way. He's our financial officer.
Yeah.
I guess I do.
Go ahead, Vicki.
So, thank you. So if for some reason you aren't able to figure out what a new car dealership could be for that property, then what would happen? What would you do with that property?
Well, I think internally we've discussed holding it for 5 years. Unfortunately, the state laws in Illinois, there's some very strict mileage limitations on when a new franchise can be placed with a dealer. Or if you relocate one, it's a little less strict. It's a 7-mile limitation for relocations, a 10-mile limitation for a brand new franchise. So we're working through all that now, and unfortunately, as markets develop and grow, the manufacturers have different rules on when they put in a new dealership. So, like I said, we're talking with them, but we don't have any control over it. And again, we're regulated by the state mileage limitation rules.
So if 5 years goes by and there's not, you're not able to arrange that, would you sell the property?
Probably, yeah.
A good example would be like what happened. We had an Elgin property that we owned for how long?
10 years.
Yeah, 10 years to try to find, when these manufacturers are interested, if we've got a piece of property that fits their needs, it's much more attractive for them to come to town. So we kind of need to have that first before we can really get them excited about it. So the last property we owned for about 10 years and ended up selling it to somebody else that put a car dealership there. But our intention wouldn't be to count down to 3 years or 5 years or whenever. It would be to find that that right dealership that would fit in that spot.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate
Okay.
that. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your help.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Further touch on that, the structure of the deal is we're responsible for delivering as a contingency the infrastructure for the project. So it's common detention, roads, and everything. So that's the part of the deal that would only be completed if we were to be approved. We touched on, the TIF request as part of this partnership. There's a significant amount of infrastructure required in the site. We're seeking of the overall total project cost about 4.7% of what that would be. Really, it just helps us offset the major infrastructure upgrade costs that we're doing up front. So, for the 33 acres, you saw we only have 6 or so commitments to date, and some of those buildings are being done somewhat on spec as well. So, it's just to help offset those infrastructure costs, which are pretty significant. But for us, it's important to get that horizontal, improvements done all at once to help attract, higher quality users to the site, essentially. I think we talked a lot of the benefits of the site overall, but, unless anybody has anything else, I'd like to open this up for questions.
Well, I know, Chris, you were going to address some of the, if you could just highlight some of the changes that you made based on Plan Commission comments?
Definitely. Let me find that plan, sorry. Here. This is probably a good one to look at some of the improvements, but a lot of the comments during Plan Commissions were related to pedestrian connectivity and design of the overall site. So we had basically further delineated a lot of the sidewalks and rerouted a lot of the sidewalks. So, this is really a nice aesthetic in this western portion to where, there's a lot of connectivity with across the street, as well as, multi-shops, multi-restaurants. So we further connected this area of the site with sidewalks through the site on North Avenue, and continuing south. We also added a sidewalk between the parking stalls here with additional landscaping on each side, which would continue south. So that would be a paver. It doesn't depict very well on this image, but nicer aesthetic than a typical sidewalk with landscaping around. We also added a lot of landscaping to the southern portion of the site and shifted the pedestrian enclosure to be in line with basically the route that would come straight south through these buildings and through the parking lot. We also adjusted the other enclosure, which is on the easternmost side of the site. We added berm areas to the southern portion and the northern portion of the drive aisle, the shops drive. So like these will be bermed islands with landscaping and so forth that add some topography to the overall site. And then a lot of the other things that were mentioned during Plan Commission were more recommendations that we were amenable to as far as, I know there's been talk about drive-throughs and the concern about drive-throughs. For us personally as owners, we were attracted to the site because of its existing zoning and because of North Avenue and the traffic that it generates. We really try to design this project to be unique, to try to attract a different type of user and tenant, as well as to, it's a large site, it's 30 acres and 14 parcels. There's only so many types of uses out there, right? So it gives us kind of a wider net to help attract, whether it be sit-down restaurants that wouldn't otherwise consider a site like this just because it would be strictly vehicle-based. We try to add a lot of design elements that would give us an opportunity. It's kind of my example of Lou Malnati earlier. Unfortunately, it didn't work for them on a timing perspective, but the goal is to achieve that type of quality throughout this whole project. So we put those different elements in it for that reason, but it's just difficult for the project based on the unknowns and getting it off the ground. I mean, the fundamentals of this real estate, unfortunately, population falls off to the east as you go into different communities. So on paper, demographically, it's challenging because there's not much population to the east. So the site does rely pretty heavily on vehicle traffic. So we want to be able to accommodate that, but also have amenities on the site for whether it's customers frequenting the shopping center from the surrounding area or from the residential to the north. I think it accomplishes a lot more than what many of the sites on down North Avenue do today, not even in St. Charles, but east and west of this community. But it's a unique project. I think that once it gets going, I mean, there's a famous saying, if you build it, it will come. I mean, it's one of those scenarios. I mean, it's a large project that needs multi-use, and that's kind of why we've broken up some of the parcels that we did. It gives us an opportunity to really attract high-quality users throughout time.
Good. And then, Chris, I know we're not going to be voting on it tonight, but I think it'd be good for council for us just to hear, the reasoning or the justification why the original ask was, 3.3, if there was a car wash approved, and then if not, you pulled out a number of another 1.5 to get us to 4.8 million. I'm just curious as to the rationale behind that.
Yeah, so initially the ask was a lot higher. Initially, when we first presented a proposal to the town, it was $6.8 million, and we reduced that ask based on the underlying zoning with the assumptions that we'd be approved with the permitted uses in the underlying zoning. I won't get into how Peter explained it earlier, but essentially, the underlying BR zoning, all the uses we're proposing are permitted uses. Some may require a special use. We're just asking that those special uses be permitted to help the efficiencies of the project. I mean, it's speed to market for a lot of these tenants to attract quality. So if we're able to deliver, a building with a drive-through or a certain, veterinary clinic approval without having to go through a lengthy process, you attract, you have the likelihood of attracting users faster. But, does that answer your question? Or?
No, that's fine. I just, like I said, I know we're not going to be voting on it, but I think it's just good for everyone to
hear
the provided feedback.
As far as values, the initial ask was 6.8. We reduced that significantly to 3.3 with the assumption that drive-throughs would be permitted under the PUD ask. And then I know that there's been some talk about, negativity towards car washes and so forth. So we had talked to staff and said that, there's land value differences, there's time value of money, there's a lot of things associated with it, but essentially, we said that we would consider limiting the use potentially for a higher amount based to make up for a use that we thought was permitted under the current zoning.
Okay. Can I just supplement, because this ties into what I said earlier. Sue, Chris has clearly said again, we just asked that some of the special uses be permitted, which is a drive-through. I indicated to you that special uses are supposed to be approved unless there's some unique problem on the site. The ordinance, the draft ordinance, the petition all requires that in drive-throughs they have to otherwise meet all of your stacking and drive-through requirements. So it seems to me your inquiry would be, is there anything that we need to reserve a special use hearing on because of this site? And I'd like to suggest that you'll think for yourself, I understand that this is a site that has no reason to say no to a drive-through because of where it is and what is not located next to it. So that's the thinking, and actually from a marketing perspective, when you get a customer, a buyer that wants to come and take a space, it's not going to take months to go through public hearings to do it. So your absorption, the build-out will be much more quick. Thanks.
And we did have a traffic study completed with our initial plan back in, December when we did the concept meeting or whatever, but we did talk to Plan Commission. They made a recommendation that if, our plan deviated from that plan and had additional drive-throughs, the recommendation was that we would go get a new traffic study done, which would reflect the latest plan, the number of drive-throughs and so forth, just to make sure that there was no, functionality or feasibility issues with those additional drive-throughs. So we are amenable to that. As kind of Peter talked about earlier, it's a large site. I don't think it has a lot of the historical negativity or issues or challenges associated with, drive-throughs or, circulation or stacking or any of those things. So, we'd be happy to make sure that, if we were to proceed with a number of drive-throughs people weren't comfortable with, that, we would have the data to back it up that it was feasible.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Russ, can I ask you a question? In regards to rules regarding a traditional drive-through versus a pickup, with stacking and all that kind of stuff, what's the difference?
So under our code, anytime that there's a vehicle that's waiting to be serviced behind another vehicle that's at a service point, that is stacking. So even with an arranged pickup, if there's a lane that's designed in a way for vehicles to line up to be serviced, it's still considered a drive-through.
Okay, so there's no difference then. It's viewed as the same.
No, from a zoning standpoint, our definitions, it's subject to the same standards.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, with all that being said, I will open up to some questions. I'll start with Ron.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I do have some questions and comments and concerns. First off, I'm just trying to comprehend that you want us to give you $1.5 million not to build something. No, I'm not going to pay you not to build something. At least for me, I will not support that. On the drive-through question from our city attorney, is he correct in his comments about
his comments about whether special use, issuing special use is discretionary?
Yeah.
Well, they are discretionary, but if you deny the special use, you have to give reasons as to why the site is incompatible.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay. And I will not support just giving you unlimited drive-throughs. We've never done that before, and I'm not going to start setting a precedent. We can just ask unlimited, and we don't even know what over half of them are going to be yet. I do support the car dealership aspect of it. I support that. I think it's a good idea. We already have car dealerships there anyways. Plus, they do generate money for the city, which I think is very important also. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, the drive-throughs and the paying you not to build something, I can't. That's just something. I think it's kind of arrogant on my part to ask money not to build a business. And I know you're asking for a lot of variations, but I just picked out one of them, that they want a variation for how they measure the light. Okay, they want it measured from the end of the property, not the building, correct? Is that something that we normally do with this? How would that affect how the property looks at night?
Yeah, so the deviation that was requested was for the perimeter light levels to apply along the exterior of the development, but the light level spillover standard would not apply to the internal lot lines within the development. So because these lots have adjoining parking lots, we'll have parking lot lighting that overlaps the lot line. So it's not unusual with a shopping center for that type of standard to apply.
Okay, that's okay then. Okay, that's what I was questioning. It would make any difference. Thank you. Oh, and one requirement was they wanted less parking, correct? It's one of the things they released out what I read.
Yes.
And is that something?
Yeah, so our code does permit shared parking between uses. So where there's multiple uses sharing an area of parking, they have different peak times. It is something that's allowed under the code. There's a finding that can be made. So they're asking for that to be written into the PUD ordinance.
Okay, so it'd be okay. We would be okay. They'd be okay with parking if we granted that variance.
Yes, based on those standards.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Let's see now. Variations, support to car dealership. Right now, those are my biggest things that would stop me from supporting this at this moment.
Mr. Sokalis, do you like anything about the project?
Sorry?
Do you like anything about the project?
No, actually, not really. This is not what I envisioned to be there.
Okay.
But I do understand. Oh, thank you for interrupting me so I can say something. So let's say we deny this, and you can build by right a car wash there, right? But we also then do not have to, at least according to staff, we don't have to give you any TIF money. Is that correct?
Correct, unless they ask for it.
Okay, so we don't have to give you the $3 million then, if you want to build it by right, which is right. You're allowed to do it, but I don't know. I guess you could do that if you wanted to, but that's my last question. Thank you.
Perfect. Mr. Phelps, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate it. And from hearing some of the feedback from the Plan Commission as well. Things I like, Alderperson Weber.
Yeah, it's good to be positive.
I could start with that. I do like the McGrath dealership. I think they've been wonderful partners with the city for a number of years. The landscaping aspect, which they originally showed, I thought was a wonderful feature as well going around. I'm kind of a realist here. I understand something is going to go in. I really struggle with the unknown, not knowing what some of it is really going to be. It really is just a struggle when we say, hey, there might be some high-end stuff coming in, but we don't know what that possibly could be. And to green light that. I think that's kind of a dangerous precedent. We could be sent up here to be like, oh, here you go, here are the keys to the project, and then we don't know what necessarily could come in. I struggle with the drive-through aspect, and I get the convenience of it, I get the want of it, I get how it could look. I struggle with the fact that mainly, possibly all of those could be drive-throughs, and if that's the case, then why have a pedestrian area? I mean, it's just, these are some of the things that I kind of wonder back and forth that are the struggle with me. More than anything, yes, I do want something to go in there. I want to continue to work. I think it's an important aspect of our city to continue to be developed. But unlike Field of Dreams, if I don't know what's going in there, I ain't coming. So I'm going to have a struggle with this being built. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bongard?
So I'll try and not cover ground that was already covered. I might have missed this, and this is either for Chris or Russ. Can you guys elaborate a little bit more on where you think the majority of consumers and visitors are going to be traveling once this is all built out? Do you anticipate this pulling more from, east and beyond, or do you anticipate this being more of, you're pulling from Geneva, Batavia, west side of St. Charles?
I would think it's all of the above. I mean, I think there's passerby traffic depending on the uses that are in there. Workers in the immediate area or within close proximity. The residents to the north, I think, surrounding towns as well. I mean, there'll be a nice mix of restaurants that are new to market restaurants that I think people will travel a little bit further for. There'll be some daily use or daily needs type shopping as well. So I think residents within the community would frequent it. But, it'd be nice to grab a cup of coffee and sit outside and enjoy a phone call or whatever versus being in your car. I think it offers kind of a diverse kind of experience for different people. So I think the answer to your question is all of the above.
Okay, because I think this goes to the biggest feedback, that we have from, Second Ward residents, neighbors is it's concerning that we continue to build, the same thing down the same streets. And if I close my eyes, I don't know if I'm going down Randall Road or Gulf Road in Schaumburg or pick your state. And explain to me how a project like this is going to be uniquely different. How is a project like this going to, be more than just pulling people from, the west side of St. Charles to now get coffee over here or to get an oil change over here. And, whether it's TIF money and site plans, that's something that I'm still struggling to wrap my head around of how this is not just, for those of us that were here in December, I made the comment that this feels like a continuation of what you currently see on 64. It's nicer and it's going to be newer and having maybe some different businesses, but the reality is it's just the same stretch. That's not feedback that I get a lot when I talk to residents about what they're hoping to see moving forward, because they don't want to feel like it's just a continuation of, I close my eyes down Randall Road and I can be from Aurora all the way up to South Elgin. It looks the exact same. And are we creating the same thing here in this space? And that's something, as I continue to look at that I want to make sure whatever goes in this space feels like it really is making this more of a unique, contribution to the community. So.
Thank you, Alderman Bongard. Just to tag on to what you mentioned about visitors who might be coming.
Yeah.
Derek, do we have any data based on Fox Haven Square where any of those customers are coming from currently?
I have not used Placer to pull any numbers yet on that. That is something that I could do before this would go to a city council meeting to see how far we're pulling away from. It'd be a good use of the program.
Is that something you would like to?
I'd love that. That'd be great.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Alderman Munns? Go ahead.
I'm done.
Thank you. I will also start with something positive. I do like the attempt at creating some walkability. I like that a lot of the feedback from Planning Commission regarding the landscaping was listened to. I think there has been an attempt to make this aesthetically pleasing, and I appreciate that. All of that being said, I will echo what Alderperson Bongard said about if you build it, they will come, and the short version of what he said regarding our comprehensive plan, saying that our Eastern Gateway should be distinct, unique, and different from our neighboring communities. And this would not bring us that. This would bring us just about any suburban area anywhere around here. And I'm not sure I understand what bringing this here brings anything special or different that draws somebody to this area, because you can go sit outside any number of coffee houses on the east side, or go to any oil change place, or go to any car wash that already exists on the east side. And I'm not really sure what I would be allocating this TIF money for in this specific area, other than to redevelop an area that does need redeveloping. But I would like to see that be for some special use that actually draws people to our community for some special, unique, and different purpose. And I think there is an opportunity for that. And I'd like to hold out for that for our community, because I think they deserve it. I think we deserve that. I am also concerned with the fact that one of these specific tenants is going to create what could potentially be blight in my own ward by moving from an existing location into this new development. And it's a use, a bank use that wouldn't be easily redeveloped in my own ward. So me voting for this would then create a vacancy that could be 5-10 years where there's an empty building in my ward that wouldn't be filled. And then my last concern is just what impact this could potentially have on the redevelopment of the mall site, and if you're bringing in these businesses here, how is that going to impact, potential reuse or potential plans that could be happening for the mall site, which is now finally for sale, and developers are looking at that. So I want to be very careful as to what we're doing in my own ward as well, and looking at our Eastern Gateway and how we're developing those things. So I have a very difficult time with the lack of unique opportunity that's being presented here, and what I think that our Eastern Gateway could potentially see. I'd like to see something better.
Thank you, Jamie. And Chris, at any moment, if you wanted to, you could provide feedback to any of the council members too, if you wanted to address something right at the moment. Vicki, go ahead.
Thank you. What I do appreciate about the plan is doing it all at once, or trying to. I guess we don't know what all the individual businesses would be, but planning it all up a piece is nice. The outdoor arts and the aesthetic. I really appreciate the attention to pedestrians and landscaping, and redeveloping a blighted piece of land is all very good. I think you're hearing from us that there's a lot of concern about the Eastern Gateway to the city and wanting that to be a little bit special and its impact on the mall. This is a great opportunity to help get the mall redeveloped by creating a very attractive area. And if it's another Valvoline, moving a Chase Bank, it's a car wash. Those are not going to be the things that make that area attractive. We have resident neighborhoods that are very close to that property. So when we saw in the proposal a truck stop, would you like a truck stop to 2 blocks away from your home? You wouldn't like that, or a car wash when we have 15 in the city already. So I would love to see the development like this happen. I will say I'm not as against drive-throughs as some of my colleagues. I would want to be able to look at each one and see how it's designed. But I keep thinking about the development in Naperville, Block 59, which has a similar, I think it's about 14 buildings also, a lot of restaurants, a lot of drive-throughs. And it's very attractive, and it's pedestrian-friendly, and it looks nice. And if we had a vision like that, I think it could be very, very workable and very positive for the city, but it really depends on what the specific things are. And I would also want to be able to approve the choices that we bring in one by one. I'm not sure what the process is for that, honestly. But those are my top thoughts.
Thank you, Vicki. Go ahead, Alderman Peschke.
Again, I want to echo a few of the comments up here, but I do appreciate the McGrath family, the continued investment in St. Charles. Great business to have in St. Charles. The concerns I have, again, are regarding the Eastern Gateway. A lot of them were discussed today, specifically the drive-throughs. The special use review is really for a reason, a tool that we have to review those businesses as they are applied for. So I do not support that we would skip that review process and kind of give a carte blanche to that. In terms of the McGrath, I again appreciate the investment in St. Charles. When it's kind of mixed with this gas station and truck stop, that's where I have some concerns when we get into some of the noise with those businesses and the traffic flow in there. Similar situation with the car wash. Echo again what a lot of the other council members said. That's not really a use that I think most of us would like in that space. Then it gets into the TIF amount. I don't necessarily agree, and I'd like to see more information on that additional cost that's being requested to validate that.
Thank you very much. Alderman Petrillo, go ahead.
Yes, thanks. I would like to echo too the walkability that Jamie mentioned. So I appreciate the discussion on that and your efforts to increase that. Vicki also mentioned, the efficiency or approach in terms of trying to develop it in a timely manner. So again, it's trying to be positive here right off the bat here. So I appreciate that. The McGrath, thank you for your comments too. That it does, temper my concern too about that potential parcel being used for those uses. And so I I trust your judgment and your leadership and your development. So thank you for, and I do support that use. It is helpful and does provide revenue for the city, so I appreciate that. And you have a brand and a product that's successful here, so that would be great. To completely understand, Mark, your statement about the unknowns. We don't have a crystal ball. You have NDAs, so completely understand that as well. My concern. I don't have as much concern with those unknowns. I do the articulation. You guys did work with Plan Commission, so I appreciate that as well. And again, just for my edification, these are. It's preliminary. I totally understand the architectural. That's obviously up for additional review, and the articulations. That's not what exactly it's going to look like. Is that in your plans, or is there still more room for any changing from your point of view? I'm just curious. The articulations mentioned in the packet, is that it's done? What you proposing?
So we submitted elevations for those buildings. We typically, some of it's done on spec, obviously, so we allow for material changes, tenant trade dress improvements, canopies, outdoor seating areas, pickup windows, things like that. So there's definitely that likely won't be the final product, but it'll be somewhat close to.
Okay. No, I appreciate that. And then lastly, I definitely would. I don't support the 4.8 proposal. To Ron's point, certainly don't have a problem with the TIF in general, just not the additional amount. Perhaps there'd be a little bit of a sliding scale. Maybe we could potentially go up to 3.5 or something of that nature if we continue to work with you guys on certain things like the drive-throughs and things like that. I think, again, that's the beauty of the PUD, right, is there's negotiation and some discussion that we can be had there. So not in favor of the 4.8, but if that's, particular additional conversation about a modest increase to continue to work with you on, with regard specifically to the drive-throughs, that would be great. But, overall, like I said, those are my concerns, so just FYI.
Thank you, Alderman.
And support as well as concern. So,
thank you very much. Go ahead, Alderman Wirball.
Okay, first, thank you for your presentation. I think a lot of this is driven by the market. You're not going to put things there that are not going to stay in business. So I understand that aspect of it, but also there's some discernment up here of what the vision is for that property. So I'll touch first on the TIF incentive. So I'm in the camp of what my colleague just mentioned of 3.5 million, not to exceed. Give staff some wiggle room to work with you. I'm not interested in a car wash over there. There's talk about, well, there's no impact. There is an impact. We denied one where Chick-fil-A is currently at because of the hotel nearby, noise, music, vacuums. So it's not a quiet business. So there are reasons for it. But as far as the drive-throughs, you have 3 businesses identified. Do you have any other commitments in writing from other businesses at this point, or are you still negotiating that?
So Dutch Brothers is a commitment that we could disclose. Chase Bank obviously was here presenting last meeting. We could disclose that. The multi-tenant buildings we're building with those end cap drive-throughs, so low density use drive-throughs on the end. We do have commitments that aren't signed completely yet. It's hard for us to advance.
No, I understand.
Chicken the egg, right?
I got you.
Once we receive approvals, we typically advance signing. So we do have multiple offers on those multi-tenant buildings from 10 or so different restaurant groups or whatever it may be, but we do have somewhat of commitments on those drive-throughs.
Because I think for me and most of us, it's just we want to know what is the business that's being proposed. I don't have an issue with drive-throughs. Yeah. I personally just want to know, what are you putting a Chipotle in there with a drive?
One's a national, fast casual Mexican concept, similar to Chipotle. Chipotle's across the street, so I could disclose that. One's a national Mediterranean concept.
So you have 2 that are similar to
correct.
Chipotle, okay,
yeah,
that
correct.
use casual,
fast
mobile
casual,
type drive-throughs, okay.
Yeah. And then we have multiple other, smaller format restaurant groups for the adjacent multi-tenant spaces.
Okay, but these two, okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next question is for staff, this is a preliminary PUD. So if this was approved tonight with a certain number of drive-throughs that are identified, and they come back before the final PUD and they have the restaurants or retail identified and we're comfortable with them, can we approve those within the final PUD?
Yes, so at this initial phase, the preliminary plan is presented at the same time that the PUD entitlement is approved for the entire project. So under our code, you're required to provide at least a third of the sites with a preliminary plan showing how they're going to be developed, which this plan meets. For the remainder of the sites, they'll need to submit new preliminary plan applications so that we're going through the process to review the building, site, landscape, design to ensure it complies with the codes and consistent with the rest of the project. Okay. But there's not necessarily a review of a special use if that was already permitted under the PUD.
Okay. So there's no gas station because McGrath will be using that property for a dealership. So there's no truck stop, no gas station that's being proposed. So I just want to confirm that because that was out on
correct, yeah.
social media with a lot of misinformation on that. So
sure, yeah.
Just to clarify, the only way I can go to a manufacturer and request a franchise is if I have a piece of property or a contract for a piece of property. In this particular case, if his deal doesn't go through, I don't have anything to show the manufacturers, and I'm out on the deal, and Chris is going to reimburse me for buying the property.
Okay.
So that's not a threat. I just need
No, it's good to know. Again, thank you for being transparent about that.
Yep. Unless I have the property.
Understood. Okay. So no gas station. And then, what was the other thing I wanted to ask you? The car wash, I'm not a fan of the car wash. We talked. I'm not a fan of the car wash. So I'm not a fan of unchecked, unlimited drive-throughs. You're more than welcome to come back as you sign the deals and we review them and we know what's going to go there. I think that's what our concern is. What is the business model that's going to go there, the traffic and all that staff? That's what you're proposing now, I don't have an issue with. The ones that you're showing me, I think are fine. I think it's based on the market. I hear a lot of people say, and I can appreciate it, a Valvoline oil change place is not super exciting, right? But it's the market. And I never hear anybody say, well, this is what I want. I never hear that. Like Charlestown Mall, I never hear anybody say, well, put this there, put that there. It's a private piece of property that you have to work with the owner of the property. It's not publicly owned property. And that's a misconception that we somehow can tell you what to put there. It's not how it works. So also, I want to be discerning though what we're putting there. So I'm not a fan of just giving you unlimited drive-throughs, right now. I want to know what they are. So,
our success is your success, right? I think from a developer's perspective, the challenge, not that I disagree with anything that you said, very valid, things, but I think, from our perspective, we want what you want, right? I think there needs to be some confidence level with us as developer and the past work that we've done, but, it's a very challenging thing. These projects either make or break. You have to start off with certain tenants, an ability to do certain tenants for us to make the project. Obviously, you heard the McGrath family. They're one of the earlier commitments that we have, right? So there's the uses that we're proposing to you guys are very critical for us to get this off the ground and basically front the capital to make sure that the project goes as one project, right? By doing all the horizontal, you're ensuring the community gets a tax base for a long period of time, and that's why we're asking for a financial commitment. We feel it's reasonable. It's not a threat by any means. Like what everybody said is accurate, right? Like the existing zoning, the zoning's in place. Somebody can continue, whether it's us or somebody else in the future, right? Somebody can continually come back to you guys seeking, these uses and it's going to be a hodgepodge of uses that's not very...
Sure, and I think a PUD, there's value because then it's a negotiation. We're working with you to try and figure out what's best for the community. It's not going to be perfect. Not everybody's going to be happy with it, but that's the point of a PUD. It's a negotiation to try and put what we feel is best there that'll meet the community's needs. But that's all I have, so thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Bessner, go ahead.
Sure. Thank you again for your presentation. I just want to start out by just talking about just East Side development in general. I'm in favor of this, at least right now for this phase of it, that we're going to be discussing further, maybe taking action on this evening. But at the same time, over the last 3 to 5 years, or prior to that, the whole East Side was just starving for redevelopment. And some of you have been here, some of you might know that from the past with your involvement. And a lot of it was kind of tied to the Charlestown Mall, which, you know, it's a behemoth, it's there, we have to deal with it. But then you take the likes of the McGrath family who came in and developed that whole area just as what we're discussing tonight, the southeast side of the mall to some degree, kind of infringing on that space. And then you have the Greco family with Foxhaven Square, which is well on its way right now, which is kind of the western edge of the Charlestown Mall. So there's some momentum here, and I think that's the way we have to look at it. And I know there's a lot of things to still discuss in regards to what type of uses, and I do have a couple concerns I'll ask you about in a minute. But I think, you know, with this development specifically almost being attached to what's already been developed by the McGrath family, it's just kind of creating a little bit momentum, a little bit of spread, getting closer and closer to the mall, which is going to attract more and more people, at least on the east side, for development. So I'll leave it at that. There will be growing pains, just in general, at further development on the east side, anywhere in St. Charles, but preferably on the east side because that's where it's been needed over so many years. So that's something we'll have to deal with as a council. We'll have to deal with it just as a city. The only two, like, they're not really concerns. I think I'm just kind of perplexed by them. You talk about a lot of walkability, which is great. It's awesome to do that, but then at the same time, I guess drive-throughs, I don't know how drive-throughs, a number of too many of them, whatever we all decide might be too many just for traffic and trying to mix with people walking. I'm kind of lost on how that can work. And going back to some of the comments they said, but I do have a concern, not so much again with the drive-through concept, but I guess I could ask you, I could ask Russ, what's a feasible number? I mean, can you have 14 drive-throughs on that property? I'm not suggesting it, I'm asking.
No, that's a great question. You know, obviously the overall site's about 33 acres, right? So it's a lot of land. So like from a design feasibility perspective, I would guess you could do, and I'm not a traffic consultant, we could have them up here in a minute if you want some more technical answers, but you know, I would say that the current traffic study, I think it shows, you know, these are pseudo drive-through uses too. It's not a, you know, a Chick-fil-A with double car stack and 50 or 60 or 70 cars in a drive-through. You know, a typical, and they're not a tenant of this, but like a Taco Bell differs from a Chipotle, that differs from a, you know, Chick-fil-A pretty significantly, right? So like, you know, Starbucks, in between, they have mobile takeout spaces, parking spaces, as well as drive-through. That's probably a, you know, in-betweener. But, you know, some of the things like the end cap drive-throughs I referenced earlier, those are low density, probably, you know, 1 to 5 cars maximum at all times, or if there's anybody there, right? I mean, so I think there's a nice variety of that there. But to answer your question, I mean, you know, our current traffic study, I mean, I think, you know, St. Charles is a little unique in that, you know, it classifies oil change and car wash as a drive-through, right? So, like, I think with those included in our initial study, I don't know how many were done, 7 or 8, there was no concern whatsoever on that number of drive-throughs on the site. You know, the fortunate thing about this site is that we could redesign, you know, it's plenty of land, right? So we could accommodate more parking, we could accommodate more stacking depending on the use. I mean, it's, you know, for us as owners, we're really critical on, you know, we're long-term owners. We want to see, you know, tenants survive. You know, and with that, we put a lot of consideration into who we're leasing to as well, right? You want a nice, healthy tenant mix. You don't want all restaurants. You want some offset, right? Like, you know, these businesses know their businesses extremely well. You know, I mean, a lot of these restaurateurs and so forth won't, they may be in a multi-tenant building. They won't coexist with another restaurant intentionally because, you know, they have locations that that don't work because of that, right? So like, you know, it's a balance, obviously, for us and future clients and tenants and so forth, but, you know, we've been doing this for 20 years. I think that, you know, our relationships will speak to this project. I mean, we've shown you a little bit. I understand there's some fear of the unknown, but I just wanted to kind of, you know, make it clear to you guys, like, you know, we're very conscious of what we're putting in there. This is a high-quality project. We want people that are there for the long term. You know, creditworthiness is important to us. We want a nice, healthy mix of tenancy within that project, whether it be local, regional, or national, restaurant, non-restaurant, retail. It's nice. I mean, it's a lot of land, right? I mean, we keep talking about this. McGrath's parcel is about 10 acres. You know, there's 20 to 25 acres of additional uses, right? That's a lot of different uses. So, you know, once you start restricting those uses, you know, it might create more time to lease the project, right? And nobody wants vacancy, you know, for a number of reasons, right? First, for aesthetics, secondly, for tax generation, and thirdly, for the success of a project, right? Successful projects generate a lot of traffic, right? And this site, fortunately, is in a position where it can accommodate a lot of traffic. You know, it was somewhat inhibited. We talked about this early on in the concept meetings. You know, once the decision was made to put industrial and dealerships surrounding it, you know, it limited the depth of the property, right? The only portion of the property that's significant is the 10 acres that McGrath has a deal on currently, right? So, like, you can't really accommodate a large anchor. You know, you could accommodate a small format grocer, some sit-down restaurants, but generally the depth isn't enough because you need that stormwater detention, so you can't really accommodate these substantial anchor users, and that's why our requests are what they are. I know they seem overreaching to some on the board for sure, but it's just purely a risk thing for us, right? Like, in the future, I think we'll all, if this project proceeds, I think we'd all be very happy with the quality and the tenant mix that's there. It's just difficult for us as owners and developers really this early in the stage to really restrict a project, you know, specifically a site that's very traffic oriented. I think we made a huge attempt at making this a unique project in comparison to anything else on North Avenue. I know that there's been examples given that it's similar to a lot of things. Personally, I think it's very different. I think you're going to have very high quality buildings. You're going to have a very unique mix of tenancy, whether it's multi-tenant. You have to keep in mind, I mean, it's still a significant sized property, right? And I think it will, you know, generate the type of quality that everybody wants here.
Okay, thank you. And lastly, just building on Alderman Sikaitis' thoughts in regards to the TIF. I know we'll get to that in another phase, I guess, but I'm not here to tell you we won't do it, but I agree with what he's saying. We're being told how to do it. We're asking you questions of what you can do. So I hope as a council, my colleagues figure that out before we start changing TIF amounts and all that.
No, I appreciate that. I think a little bit more background on that. I mean, we've been talking to staff about it for the last year, so maybe I wasn't as clear as I should have been when you asked the question. But, you know, the initial amount was much higher. We reduced it, and then we were under the assumption that we felt comfortable that we would have the ability to do the things that are permitted under the current zoning, right? So that's why the lower number was given.
Sure.
So when we heard, this came later on, you know, the concerns about drive-throughs and car washes and so forth, once that was brought back up, I mean, I touched on it earlier, you know, there's 4 pillars to starting these projects, right? There's these 4 users, which we talked about from the start here, that were very critical to funding this project and financing this project and giving us the, you know, the confidence we needed personally. I mean, my business partner and I are sitting here, we're personally funding this project. You know, these are very important decisions for us, right? And like, there's things that, you know, we have to consider going forward. One of those things is, you know, it's a very high traffic site, right? If you're starting to limit the uses that accommodate those type of users, it becomes pretty concerning for us to proceed with it, right? And maybe there's a balance. I mean, I think that we try to attempt at reducing that number initially to make it more attractive to you guys and still front a lot of that infrastructure cost to get this thing off the ground as one collectively, because I think that ultimately will be the best for the site and for us all. I think it'll attract people very quickly, and I think the quality will be high based on these improvements and the design, you know, the additional design elements we're incorporating into the site that wouldn't be under the current zoning, right? I mean, I know we keep referencing the current zoning, but it's important. I mean, as a community, you guys want to see something that's cohesive, that's well-designed, that has, you know, nice buildings, a nice mix of nice uses in different buildings and different signage and so forth. But, you know, that's our control, too, under a PUD, right? I mean, that gives us the authority to do it quickly instead of, going through many meetings and, dictating different signage packets. And, there's a lot of control with that, but there's also a lot of limitations and restrictions that, you're talking about restricting uses, but there's other restrictions that just come, the market was mentioned earlier, timing of the marketplace, there's things we don't control, right? And we try to look at those as developers to try to eliminate as much of that up front as possible, right? And when you start restricting, putting those things on, there's a lot of things that work against these projects just naturally, not with, that are outside of our control. So we understand it's a PUD. I think that, some of the early on discussions were, more TIF related, and the number went up and down pretty quickly based on some assumptions. And, you guys weren't privy to those conversations, unfortunately, and I apologize if I didn't convey it appropriately to you earlier. But, that's the situation. And as far as drive-through uses, I mean, the underlying zoning for us was attracted by this site, right? That's why we bought it. I mean, the reality is that's what I do for a living, right? We have relationships with all these high-quality type users that we've discussed to date. We have confidence that we'd be able to deliver a very high-quality project. And once you put limitations on that, our confidence kind of, goes away. And that's really, a decision we all need to make collectively, what's most important to the community, what's most important to us. And, there's a risk tolerance, obviously, for us, and I think that's the only sensitivity, right? I think we'll deliver a very high-quality project everybody will be happy with, but there's going to be a risk tolerance that's going to impact that for us, right? And it's, there's decisions to make for everybody. It could be a short-term project or a shorter-term project. It could be a longer-term project with more control that may not happen as quickly or may not happen at all, right? And there's risks to all of that stuff. And, I just try to do what I control and what we feel comfortable with moving forward, and that's the project that's kind of out there before you guys today. And we put our best foot forward. I think the design is top-end design. We do business around the country, and I think it's a very unique location. It's a great community. It's a very upper-income community that deserves the best, and I think we'll get that. I think there's some risk for you guys as well with approving a project with some unknowns. I mean, that's life, right? I mean, I think that's the decisions we all need to make, and what's best for you guys, the tax base, the sales that this will generate. I mean, there's some negativity to drive-throughs for sure. I mean, you can't solve all problems always, right? But it's North Avenue. It's zoned for those type of uses. I think it generates a ton of income for the community. Obviously, the dealership's a huge part of that. We really can't deliver the dealership without putting in the infrastructure, and with the infrastructure, the different, it's all one big thing, right? So for us, I clearly understand what everybody's been saying. We've been communicating for now over a year. I wish I could be more sensitive to a lot of these things. I think we put our best foot forward and, put forward a design that we hoped everybody would enjoy, and we hope we get your vote tonight. But
yeah.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Chris. If you could stay up there. Question for you. So 14 parcels, currently 6 committed drive-throughs? Is it 8? Is it 7? The number keeps on kind of jumping around a little bit. Based on current discussions, I think it's 6. But.
Yeah, so Valvoline's considered a drive-through. That's 1. Chase is 2. 2 of the 3 multi-tenant buildings. So it's 4. And Dutch Brothers 5.
So current, based on commitments, you feel like you currently have 5?
3, 4, 5, yep.
Okay.
And then really, all the remaining parcels besides the dealership, we do not have commitments from today.
Gotcha.
And that's why we're asking for this blanket PUD approval to help incentivize those people. Like Lou Malnati's was initially considering doing a drive-thru. I'm telling you too much information, but the reality is if you could accommodate those things and make your site different than other people, you have more of a chance to secure those type of leases, right? And that's really our job, is to look at this and say, who can we accommodate, who's new to market, who's high quality, and we try to, build that into a PUD so that we could deliver, right? And that's the reason we're asking for these accommodations in the PUD. We've done a lot of PUDs nationally. I mean, I think, although it seems like you're giving up a lot of control, really, we have the same interests in line. I mean, obviously it's an expensive project. We need high quality users. I mean, naturally, we're going to be aligned in a lot of different ways as well.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Bond. Do you have another question?
Just, can you go back for a second? Prior to purchasing this space, was the vision for this communicated to staff? Or, so you guys acquired the space, had a vision for it, acquired it, and then moved forward? Or, because traditionally with projects like this, right, we get a concept first of, hey, this is what we're kicking around, take council, staff's temperature, and then if the feedback isn't great, we're not going to move forward with the project. This sounds like it's the opposite. Hey, we acquired this, we had it, here's our vision for moving forward, and now we're kind of into a little bit of a spot where we own it, and we got to make it work, and that's kind of backwards to, where we're at.
Yeah, typically we would do things that way. You're correct, but yeah, I mean, we always do due diligence on everything that we do right before purchasing it. We did a significant amount of due diligence here. Really, we looked at the current zoning of this property and felt comfortable with it, and that was the decision-making process for us. Very unique situation, obviously. This distress, struggling situation with multiple parties. I mean, there's been a lot of challenges with this property you guys may or may not be aware of. Obviously, there was title issues unknown to title companies on this thing. I mean, there was cell tower leases that weren't documented. There's a lot of challenges that we've overcome to date that probably would have made this a lot more lengthy of an endeavor. We've spent a lot of time and effort and money doing that to flesh this out, simultaneous to talking to you guys and bringing plans forward. I mean, I know initially you saw a plan with a lot of users on there that showed a lot of drive-throughs. That was just a conceptual plan. We didn't have those commitments to date. I can't pull it up now, but the more recent plans, obviously we show more of the retail, more of the restaurants. That wasn't initially focused on much. I think there was kind of out of the gate some negativity to some of the uses and the amount of drive-throughs. That was a worst case scenario showing you like, hey, this accommodates this number of users. You could put, 15, 20, 25 car stacking on all of these lots and it accommodates it. It was kind of, personally, I don't think we'll have drive-throughs across the whole site. I think it'll be a nice balance, but I don't have a crystal ball either, unfortunately. In order to deliver, I think that we're looking for these uses to be approved.
Just about this site, Councilman, that when the demolition contractor tore down those buildings, those burned out buildings, and was charged with clearing up the rubble and seeding it and walking away, it turns out on subsequent investigation that he took a lot of that rubble and just threw it in the old foundations and covered it up. And so the soil borings indicated that in those areas, it's not stable. So one of the things that Mr. Alikis' company is going to have to do is to, especially where everywhere, where parking lots are going to be located, there's one thing to do, but when there's a building to go on a specific pad and there's that unstable fill underneath, they have to do something else, which is to put pilings or something, I don't know. But I'm only telling you that because this is such a great site from a visibility and corner and accessibility, but it's really got some challenges too.
Good? I'm good.
So I just want to say, as much as you love the property, we appreciate you spending time and working through this with us. Obviously, I want to continue to work through all of this with you guys. We like you, you like us. I often sit on the podium just like you and make presentations in other parts of the state and the country, so I know exactly where you're at. I have to ask for special use. Every single use I have is a special use, so I have to deal with that every single day. That's my world. So I do thank you and your team for continuing the dialogue and making adjustments based on the Plan Commission, and obviously, listening to all of our comments. So I do thank you for that, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
It does say that we have to vote on this.
Yes, it does.
We do need to vote on it, yes.
Right,
I wanted to make sure everyone had a chance.
Right, no problem. I just wanted to clarify that.
I got you.
Sure.
All right. So with that, go ahead, Mr. Whipple.
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
So, I'd like to make a motion to approve as presented with a condition that only 3 drive-throughs for the businesses identified on the preliminary PUD plan are approved, with 2 additional drive-throughs for restaurant mobile pickups to be vetted by staff, no car wash, and that any additional drive-throughs will require a special use approval process.
Wow, that's a lot. Okay, so that's a motion. Did you understand everything you just said, Chris? And Peter?
I didn't understand that. Yeah, you bet. Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to approve as presented with a condition that only the 3 drive-throughs for the businesses identified on the preliminary PUD plan are approved, and 2 additional drive-throughs for restaurant mobile pickups to be vetted by staff are approved, and that any additional drive-throughs will require a special use approval process and no car wash.
So 5 drive-throughs total and no car wash, basically.
But the 2 drive-throughs need to be vetted by staff. You're alluding to the type of restaurants they are, and I want staff to vet them before they're approved.
Is the tip amount part of that?
No, not right now, because it's irrelevant if this doesn't. You can talk for a second, that's fine. Not yet. I want him to talk.
I think we need some time to discuss, but I guess what's the concern generally with drive-through for these buildings? I mean, typically you see code compliancy with stacking or circulation or anything like, atypical, like, a car wash across the street that had 1 access point instead of 2 or whatever it may be, right? Like, I think the concern is long-term ownership, right? If we agree to some very detailed, mobile pickup order, I mean, that's the concept.
If you call it a drive-through, so be it. You mentioned it was mobile, so I need staff to vet whatever you're saying, because the concern up here, and I'm trying to work with my colleagues, is they want to know what you're putting there.
Yeah.
And I don't disagree with them, so I'm trying to help you out with that. If that does help you, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So that's where I'm at with it, so.
No, I appreciate it. I think the challenges with, like, delineating mobile pickup for us would be like, that might be the current tenant, but then you have a building that's built that's been financed and that tenant goes out of business, and then you're limited to a certain use, you know what I mean? There's going to be things I just can't agree to. That's probably one of them, but I mean, you could see by the way we laid it out, I mean, that's the intent for those buildings. They're not really like high traffic. I mean, we can't do other coffee, we're restricted by other uses that would be those type of uses, right? But if it was, Five Guys or Epic Burger or any of these guys that require a drive-through, we wouldn't be able to.
And you're not restricted from coming back. So, if you get 5 tonight and you find another one and you want to come back, you got to go through the process. We review it. If we're okay with it, we approve it. If we're not, we don't, for whatever reasons. And we state our reasons why or why not.
Councilman Werble, the process that concerns us is the public hearing, the notice, the et cetera, et cetera. Would it be acceptable to adopt, and I don't know if my client accepts it, but would it be acceptable that when we get beyond the numbers you just talked, if we get beyond, that the preliminary PUD approval that would require us to come before Plan Commission and Council again for, now we have this proposed user on this lot that none of us knows today, and they have a drive-through, that if you feel that this requires further vetting by the Plan Commission, you could send it back, but if you happen to like the user, you could accept it?
Yes, we can. I'm fine accepting it. I don't know, you're alluding to a couple of restaurants, but you can't disclose them. But you have to do a final PUD. So whatever you fill in between now and the final PUD and you come back, you got to go through Plan Commission and all that. I mean, it's a process, but.
We've asked Rust and Ellen, and they've been terrific. They've been patient with us, but I see you still have the same questions that we've had. So if you were to approve tonight's petition, the 6 users that you have the preliminary plans for would be getting preliminary PUD. That's all that this council does. And then the user, let's say Chase, draws up their plans and their building permits and their landscaping, and they say to Russ and staff, here, see, this is consistent with the preliminary PUD. The staff approves it, and a building permit is issued, and that's the process that gives final PUD. It's not you. It took me a long time to get used to that.
Right.
And so my question to you, I don't know if Chris agrees with it, is you've talked about 5 possible
Yes,
uses.
sir.
If we come up with a 6th, and we come in here with preliminary plans for you to approve, can you approve them and not send us back to the Plan Commission for public hearing?
You know, that's up to the elected body. I'm okay with that process, but I can't speak on everybody else's behalf.
Yeah. I mean, that would really help. That would be a compromise because it would cut down the time.
Because I think the goal up here is they want to know what businesses are going there, so that I think that's ultimately, I'm okay with it, but it's really everyone up here that needs to.
So obviously you can see the sediment up here. Certain council members want to still have some say-so on what, they just want to know what's going to be approved. That's why there's the reason for the special use. So where we're at right now, with a motion by an alderman for 5 drive-thrus. I can get a second, and we can have a vote, or if you need more time to think about what has been proposed, we could table this, and you can have time to think about it amongst your peers and talk to staff as well. We don't want to rush anything. We want to do everything, take our time and do things the right way.
Thank you. I'm very, I don't mean to be patronizing. I'm very impressed with the way this hearing has gone tonight. We would like to have you table it for 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks?
If that's okay with you and the staff.
Would you be okay with withdrawing that?
Yeah, I'll withdraw my motion. I'll make a motion to table for 2 weeks from now.
Do we have a second for that?
Second.
Seconded by Munn, so this is to table for 2 weeks. So what would that put us at, the 17th, basically?
Correct.
17th, okay. So with that, I'll ask for a roll call vote.
Petchke?
Yes.
Petrilla?
Yes.
Wirbal?
Yes.
Gessner?
Yes.
Kulkaitis?
Yes.
Folks?
Yes.
Bunzart?
Yes.
Munns?
Yes.
Spellman?
Yes.
That item has been tabled. Once again, thank you very much, guys, for your presentation. We want to continue to work with you. I think we can find something that will work. Thank you very much. All righty. Moving.
Chair
right.
Weber?
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw out a couple recommendations on the remainder of the agenda.
That's
We
fine.
do have executive session items we need to consider this evening for approval. So the old PD site proposal, we can postpone that to a different meeting as well and just handle the other item under economic development.
So I'm sorry, so you're saying not to do 10A or 10B for tonight?
Just 10B.
Just 10B?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So with that being said, item...
I'm sorry, just 10A. I apologize.
We can do 10A, you're saying, Heather?
Yes, the business improvement and grant, and then postpone the update and presentation on the former PD.
All right, perfect. So item 10A, we're going to have a presentation from Brianna. Thank you very much.
I'll be brief. This item is for business improvement grants. The applicant is...
Can we please stop talking so we can do the presentation? Thank you.
The applicant is Byte Enterprise LLC. It's a family-owned business. They plan on opening a Mexican restaurant called Gallo Santo. And the location is 215 West Main Street, so you probably know it as the former Reams Electric Shop. They had been in that location for decades, and then in 2022, there was a major fire that happened, and a significant amount of damage occurred, both interior and exterior. Ultimately, Reams decided to relocate, and then that site has been vacant since. So it's been about 3-4 years, I want to say. Byte Enterprise came in and they signed their lease last fall. They hope to open sometime later this year. I don't think an exact date has been announced or anything like that yet. But they have a lot of work to do. They plan on investing nearly $400,000 into the space. Of that, they estimate that about $40,000 would go to plumbing upgrades just to outfit the site for a restaurant use, and then another $40,000 would be to install a fire sprinkler system, just bringing everything up to current code standards. So that comes out to about $80,000 that they anticipate spending for grant-eligible improvements. And so they are requesting $30,000 total for the grant funds, which is triggering that council level approval. If they do meet the eligibility criteria for the additional $15,000 and $30,000 in total, it's in the downtown retail overlay district. The site has been vacant for over a year, and then a portion of the funds would be used for the fire sprinkler system. So overall, I think the grant funds would be beneficial not only in helping the business offset some of those upfront costs, but also just helping to activate a site in our downtown that's been struggling with vacancy for a few years. So it's recommended for approval.
Agreed. I have a motion by Bongard, seconded by Spellman. Roll call, please.
Petchke?
Yes.
Petrola?
Yes.
Wirbal?
Yes.
Bessner?
Yes.
Kulkaitis?
Yes.
Volk?
Yes.
Bungard?
Yes.
Munns?
Yes.
Spellman?
Yes.
Great, that motion carries. And once again, item 10B will be presented at a later date. Administrative manners, none right now. I will open it up to public comment. You can speak on anything at this moment. Okay, seeing none. Additional items from Mayor. Oh, okay.
In addition to what I had said previously, I want to just bring to your attention a very important question that Alderman Spellman asked McGrath. Okay, so when they want to be a dealership, they have all kinds of hoops to jump through, proximity, this and that. He said it could be 5 years before they found a dealership. In addition to that, the question was, if you don't find a dealership that meets the requirements to be there, what would you do with it? He could sell it. He could sell it to anybody. Anything could go there. There are way too many unknowns on this. Way too many. We would be remiss to go ahead and approve and move forward with this. So I wanted to make sure that was clearly understood. We don't have a commitment that for sure a McGrath would go there. Absolutely not. And I just think it's prudent for all of us to take a step back. This is an incredible piece of property. This property is what St. Charles is about. It's our last really great piece. We need to be very careful with what goes there. And it sounds to me like it has been the plan of these people with all of these drive-throughs. They're now taking a step back saying, oh, okay, how can we appease them and still get all of our drive-throughs? I just think this is very iffy. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Art Lemke, a member of the neighborhood group on the east side. Forget all of this. We have an option here. This is not straight zonage. And in the case of Pheasant Run property, we can make it better. And I think we begin to do that with talking about limiting the number of drive-throughs and taking out the assertion that there must be or can be that can sneak in a car wash.
Joe Ducci on the east side. I live in Majestic Oaks. So first of all, I think the developer, he's trying to do a great job, but he is an incredible salesperson. There's no question about it. He has his own interest in mind. I think the city council is doing a great job as well. However, a huge concern, so I was sitting here very open-minded. I wanted to listen to what they had to say. I want to know, first of all, what high-end development are you aware of that has a minimum of 6 drive-throughs? Not one. High-end? Not one. My concern then was they walked out of this room, they didn't want you to vote because you were going to hold them to 5, possibly 6 drive-throughs, and they didn't want that. So, huge concern, and I do applaud all of you for asking, well, exactly what are you going to put there? Because I would find it extremely hard to believe the council would approve not knowing what is going in there. I do find it hard to believe. I'd like to, it would be incredible to see a model where you have a minimum of 6 drive-throughs, possibly more, where they're trying to say, oh, but we're going to have the pedestrians walking back and forth. Are you kidding me? Have you ever tried walking like in Portillo's drive-thru? You can't do it if you're walking past cars and all. Not 6 in a row. McGrath, I do think they're a really good neighbor to the city of St. Charles. But they do not have a commitment from a dealer. Now, I get it. They have to have a piece of land. But if they have a piece of land and a manufacturer decides, we're not giving it to you, what did Mr. McGrath say? Yeah, we're selling the land. To who? Well, if you give them a PUD, they can sell it to whoever they want to sell it to. And it could be a car wash, and it's not hogwash because that's on the table if you guys approve that. So I'm asking you not to approve something if we as a city don't know what is going in there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else for public comment? All righty. Any additional items from mayor, council, or staff? Do not see any at this moment. We will need to go into executive session, both for pending, probable, and imminent litigation, as well as collective bargaining. So at this moment, if you're not on the executive session, yes, you need to leave. Yes. We will start the executive session in 4 minutes.
Do I need to make a motion? Yeah, motion.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
Make a motion to go into
I'll wait
executive
till Ed
session.
gets back. I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.